For you this morning, I'm here with GB News. We're off to a Trump rally in Reading. It's the last day of campaigning. We're going to follow him all around the country today as much as we can. Look, I just think a Trump win would make the world a safer place. There's all sorts being talked about on opinion polls. There's no doubt it's tight. I still think Trump's going to win. But tell you what, you'll get all our coverage throughout the day and tomorrow on GB News.
Nigel Farage and his Reform Party have been making headlines in recent months, but he has even made a bigger impact due to his recent interview. Farage shocked the interviewer into silence with his sharp and witty remarks. It is safe to say his statement made the journalist doubt even his own beliefs and political ideologies. Interestingly, Farage didn't just refute criticisms like other politicians do. He exasperated the presenter with his provocative questions. Frankly, he made the presenter look uncertain. Let's dive into this remarkable performance by the Reform Party leader. And ensure you watch till the end to get the full details, because it will be worth your time.
And do all sorts of things and work on campaigns.
Yes.
I could do all of that. But I am ultimately British, English. It's the cricket season, for goodness. I can't go to America during the cricket season.
I mean, there are great things about America, but you will miss there are things
there's a lot of things.
I mean, I lived there for 10 years,
Yeah, and I've got first grandchild coming up in a few weeks' time. Things like that.
Yeah.
Things that are actually on a personal level very, very important indeed. But I will be going to America a fair bit for the last few months of this year. For some reason, don't ask me why, but for some reason, an awful lot of grassroots Americans with mildly conservative views like me.
Yes.
Know me and like me.
They do. Well, it's the Trump effect to some
yeah,
extent.
And I was able, in 21, when I toured there for 6 weeks, I was actually able to go to events and to say to people, right, who's going to volunteer?
Right.
Who's going to volunteer to deliver leaflets, to knock on doors, to make phone calls?
From the start of the interview, it was clear the host wanted to put Farage in a tight spot. The questions were direct and were intended to embarrass the Reform leader. However, the host wasn't prepared for the pushback from Farage, who was adequately prepared to answer any questions. Cosper, you live... The cat and mouse game evident throughout the interview only intensified the drama. The host began with a key question, and Farage answered with a cold, nearly icy confidence. The irony of the situation is shocking. By a British politician who went across the Atlantic to promote peaceful relations with the United States is heavily criticised for not being in the workplace.
Look, the Democrats don't give a damn about Britain. They consider us to be an irrelevancy. They'd much rather look towards Brussels with everything, or indeed, at times, some of the more extreme shades of Irish nationalism. Trump is a genuine friend of our country. He wants to do a trade deal. He'd always wanted to do a trade deal with the linchpins of NATO. We share intelligence at a very high level. And it is, if Trump does win, as I believe, it's very important. This Labour government has as good a relationship with Trump as they possibly can.
Ahmed of surrenders. Amir Rodio will not give up her seat in the US Congress. Remember when Keir Starmer and the Labour Party decided to send staff to support Kamala Harris's presidential campaign? He didn't hesitate, immediately stating that sending 100 Labour Party staff to support Kamala Harris was a real diplomatic mistake. Let's hold on for a second and look at the absurdity of this situation. It sounds like a plot from a failed sitcom. Banning to send an infantry of British soldiers to interfere in the United States presidential elections. What is the goal? Farage at the time also took the opportunity to criticise Labour, saying the issue could damage the relationship between the UK and the United States. He pointed out that if Donald Trump were to win the US presidential election, it would harm the UK's relationship with the United States. Farage said, "This is direct election interference by the governing Labour Party, and particularly stupid if Trump wins. Who is paying for all of this?" Even Elon Musk waded into the row, claiming this is illegal. Yet the Twitter CEO was quick to receive a community note on his own platform, with fact-checkers reminding the tech billionaire the Federal Election Commission explicitly permits foreign nationals to serve as campaign volunteers. That may be the case, but as the outcome of the election revealed, Labour is in danger of losing the friendship of the United States, like Farage predicted.
I'm probably going to know quite a few of them personally quite well also. So I do think that I might have a role to play in helping to break down those barriers. I mean, don't forget, there are such fundamental disagreements politically. I mean, Ed Miliband wants us to go completely green. Lucky we're all rich, isn't it, and can pay the electricity bills. Whereas, the Trump administration is drill, baby, drill. And we can go right through all of these different issues. There are huge differences between a very conservative Trump government, and a pretty left-wing British one. But on areas like intelligence sharing, on areas like defence, on areas like trade and indeed investment, and it's worth remembering that America is the biggest foreign investor in the UK.
Going back to the interview, let's hear as the MP exposes the host to shocking truths. Even though he didn't agree with the Labour Party on several issues, he won't abandon national interest for party politics. Simply put, Farage wouldn't let his country lose the friendship of the United States. So, he left the Parliament for a short while to mend fences with friends across the Atlantic. Viewers couldn't stop talking. Social media exploded with praise, with many people calling his performance iconic. News outlets labelled his performance as one of the most unforgettable of the year.
Then that the UK government has done actually puts us at odds with the US.
Very much so, yes. And I think one of the worries here is if Trump puts in place the tariff regime that he's talking about, and it sounds like he will, at least to begin with, or he'll use it as a very firm negotiating position, this makes us exempting ourselves from a tariff regime, which should be perfectly possible. This makes it much more difficult.
Right, so we have to not upset Donald Trump.
We have to be an ally to Donald Trump. And allies,
does that mean...
Allies don't betray the military of the United States, without which we would be defenceless.
But why is it betraying? Joe Biden's administration agreed to this, the UK government agreed to this, the Mauritian government agreed to this.
Now, hang on a second. Joe Biden's administration, on the way out, raised no objections. I didn't hear any warm words of encouragement.
Frankly, love or hate the man, his performance was a show of dominance that is hard to ignore. But that wasn't all. We have barely scratched the surface. You see, it was clear the host wasn't satisfied with the vivid and direct answers Farage gave. She wanted to antagonise him. So, the interview took an unexpected turn when she targeted his relationship with Donald Trump. But rather than back down, Farage leaned in, unapologetically, in support of the president-elect. He explained how Trump's policies during his first term had strengthened the global market and prioritised national interest, making it clear why he believes Trump is a strong ally for the UK. When asked about his public appearances with Trump, Farage didn't hold back. Instead, he highlighted how essential the relationship between the UK and the US is to the British people. Going further, he explained that a strong bond with America benefits Britain in ways many people don't realise. So, the host's attempt to paint a picture of controversy fell flat again because Farage effortlessly shifted the narrative to the importance of leadership on the global stage. This segment in the interview even got more attention. Farage's ability to turn a potential ambush into a moment of strength had people talking. It didn't even matter if you shared his views or not. For instance, his supporters pointed out his diplomatic edge over most British politicians. Even his critics couldn't deny his control over the situation. But what makes Nigel Farage different from the rest? It comes down to his unscripted style of handling issues. At a time when politicians and public office holders are mostly glued to their notes, preferring to stick to a script, Farage's ability to speak freely and confidently is a rarity. His answers felt genuine and not rehearsed or written down, so it resonated with many people. Evidently, the UK public doesn't appreciate scripted answers. Instead, they appreciate authenticity, which Farage delivers every time. During this particular interview, his words weren't just responses, but direct, relatable, and full of conviction.
Man, very highly respected, Nigel Farage.
Well, that was very nice of him. But hey, I've been a very loyal friend over the course of the last 9 years. I've never wavered or wobbled in my support of him, even at times when it hasn't necessarily been that easy. I went on the morning of polling day, and I stood outside a polling station in Pennsylvania just talking to voters as they were coming in and out. And the common observation was there are more Trump signs on lawns this time than we saw in 2020 or we saw in 2016. Why is that, I asked. Well, we're not afraid to say we're Donald Trump supporters anymore. That was very interesting. Suddenly, he wasn't quite the devil.
It isn't a surprise that viewers commended his natural flow and transparency. The public saw for the first time in a long time a leader who spoke from his heart and wasn't going to hide behind carefully crafted statements. This isn't just about performance, it is trust that is the deal here. For most people, politicians and public servants in the UK, response to questions follow a scripted pattern. Although they are careful to protect their secrets, the public can easily see through them. In the political landscape, that is nearly impossible to see, so his unscripted style hasn't gone unnoticed, especially in the UK. People are talking about how thoughtful he was during the interview. Many who watched have expressed their admiration for him, even saying that more politicians need to follow his example. Farage's approach is different. While others try to avoid scrutiny with the answers they provide, he embraces it, and that has earned him the respect of many Britons. Do you think Nigel Farage was right about his assessment of the UK relationship with the US? Let us know your thoughts in the comments section below. Thanks for watching, and see you in the next video.